typical set of characteristics that make a Steely Dan song so slick. It's got the precision and intelligence of anything off of Gaucho or Asia, but is set apart by its subtle approach to mind-boggling the listener. Just for context, Steely Dan is a jazz group consisting of Walter Becker, may he rest in peace, and Donald Fagen, with a discography that spans over 4 decades. Beloved by cool cats and geeks alike for their smooth, unique jam outs that can make you feel like you're in the smoking room of a swanky NYC hotel when you're actually on a back porch in rural Ontario. Damn mosquitoes. On a more personal note, Steely Dan was a staple to the soundtrack of my weirdly eclectic childhood, but it's only recently that I've been able to understand and appreciate the complexity and nuance of the tunes I've known by heart since age 9. And I've realized that my favorite trait of any Dan track is the oxymoronic casualness of their greatness, that instead of having an obvious showboat kind of quality, loses its mind in tandem with the listener, a communal freakout, if you will. Steely Dan pulls these major feats of musical innovation and says, "Yeah, we just did that. So what?" It's this kind of maddening nonchalance that makes it feel even more transcendent. That's what separates Becker and Fagen from other great composers like, say, Queen or Bowie. I discovered Almost Gothic last summer while taking a driving lesson with my dad. I had found it about a few weeks prior while deep diving into some unknown Steely Dan territory. It snuck up on the both of us. And I looked at my pops after we heard it the first time and said, "What was that? It was really good."
I have no idea. I want to hear it again.
And so we listened to it again. And again. And again. Now, lyrically, the boys aren't known for their straightforwardness. Trying to find tangible meaning in most Steely Dan songs is like trying to find guitar in a Supertramp song. Just ain't worth the trouble. But Almost Gothic is different. It's got clear subject and perspective, but still leaves tons of room for interpretation. For complete opposite of clarity, see Brooklyn Holds the Charmer Under Me. You're just saying words. You're just saying words that are strung together in a random order and they mean nothing. They mean nothing! It's at least clear enough that the song is about a guy in awe over a girl who's almost gothic, but it's better than that. Now, for the sake of this analysis, let's assume that the song is in the point of view of Donald Fagen. Don's personal reflections on how this girl jerks him around are total babble. Until about the third listen, and suddenly you're like, "Whoa, man, I totally get you now." It's like finally getting a hit of whatever the hell he's on. It's just the perfect amount of insanity to encompass specific emotions with remarkable accuracy. I'm so excited I can barely cope. I'm sizzling like an isotope. An almost comical lunacy that is utterly relatable. When she speaks, it's like the slickest song I've ever heard. I'm hanging on her every word. It's almost a relief to have that feeling put into words, is it not? The lyrics also mix a basic literality with Don's whacked out insanity, as if I'm not already blazed enough. These two styles complement each other perfectly and are interdependent in the making of a tune this awesome. The logic cushions the insanity, and the insanity spices up the logic. A pattern in the amorous prose becomes apparent early on. Trait, then opposing trait, which communicates just how complexly enticing this girl seems to be, but is always immediately followed by the assurance that she's almost gothic in a natural way. There really just is no putting this lady in a box, is there? The lyrics are fascinatingly unique in how they manifest such a common emotion in songs. This definitely isn't the first tune about a guy who likes a girl.
A man writing an opera about a woman? Oh, sirrah, how deliciously absurd. I shall see you at the premiere.
But I'll bet my hat that there aren't that many artists who would describe a girl as so severe or the cleanest kitten in the city. The obsessive infatuation of the words is complemented by music that accompanies it perfectly in different ways. Simple melodies are not often found in Steely Dan's music, and Almost Gothic is no exception. The vocal lines seem to change tone partway through, and this is mimicked by the instruments underneath. The verses have an almost thinned-out texture that isn't often featured on a Dan record. Let me explain. The song dips in and out of the states of etherealism and pure groove. In the verses, the different layers of instruments sound almost independent of each other, like an arbitrary collection of tracks that magically fit in with one another. There are some more modern-sounding, somewhat artificial sounds, or at least some affected instruments, that build this feeling of ungraspability and haze, along with their somewhat loose rhythmicality. The usual memorably hummable riffs seem to be quite scarce early on, which isn't necessarily a complaint. If you can't already tell, this is a pretty praiseful essay. Along with some acoustically dry, laid-back lead vocals from Fagan and some breaks for supporting vocals of the same quality, you get to settle in this ethereal space until the drums start to hit a little harder and the structure starts to make itself clear. You're in a relaxed but undoubtable groove that hits like a little blip of the heart. The song follows the cycle of wading in and out of these two spaces. The form is reflective of the lyrical theme in this way, nearly traceable, but not quite. It provides this air of unpredictability that keeps the listens fresh. Unless you're like me and have committed it all to memory by now. If you listen well enough, you can hear correspondence in musical climax with the lyrics, which solidifies the knowledge that this is a very meticulously crafted tune. The expert craftsmanship just presents itself in such a way that is so subtly wicked, and that makes it all the more impressive. Especially in contrast with those kind of wackadoodle words. And that's what makes this relatively obscure song stand out to me amongst the Kid Charlemagnes and the glamour professions. Music like this is a treasure that we sometimes take for granted. And you know, I'm not trying to say that music like this doesn't exist anymore, and why the don't we do any good like Mozart or Beethoven or any of that good stuff, you know, even a Radiohead, you know, it's just all absolutely trash. Tekashi 6ix9ine. It's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying, the next time you're listening to a song you love, really soak it in. Listen to it. Let it take over every fiber of your being. Let it soak into your every wound. Let it take you over until you are nothing.